Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Hey makeup friends, so today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the items that I picked up in the month of March. Now typically I would go through and add up all the items and let you know the grand total and see just how close to my beauty budget I managed to stay, but we're not going to do that because I wildly exceeded my budget in the month of March and also April. It's been bad. Anyways, I will talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. Let's get into this. Before we get into the video, I want to welcome you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. The makeup that I'm wearing today is a bit of a repeat from a previous video, but that's just the way life is these days. The eyeshadow palette that I'm wearing is from Viseart. It's the Warm Edit palette. And then on my lips, I have one of the Gloss Bomb creams from Fenty in the shade Cookie Jar. Okay, so typically how I do these videos is I just show you everything that I bought, and then a month later I follow it up with more thorough reviews. However, life has been so hectic that I wasn't even able to do the haul until now, and as I'm filming it's the 23rd of April, so we're damn near the end of the month. What I'm going to do for today then is do a combo. I'm going to show you the items that I picked up and let you know my thoughts on the items as we go through them. So this is going to be a very lengthy video. Pause now, grab a drink, get a snack, get comfy. I suspect we're going to be here a while. I will try to keep my reviews of these items very succinct, but that's not always my strong suit. So with that out of the way, let's dive into these products. Okay, let's talk about items that I received in PR, and then we will move into the items that I purchased. So I did receive the entire lineup from Merit, or at least one shade in every product that they have. So I got a highlighting stick, a brow gel, a mascara, I got their complexion brush, a cream blush, as well as their complexion stick. I did do a filmed video of all of these, at least my first impressions and trying them all on. I have to go searching for that footage. I recently replaced my laptop with a PC and some of the files didn't transfer over, so I need to go digging. I have terrible tech skills, but at any rate, I do need to find the footage so that I can edit it and show it to you. What I can say really quickly, the brush, fantastic. It's small but mighty. It blends things out so nicely. Love the brush. The complexion stick, I really like it as a foundation. I do not like it as a concealer. I find that it creases really easily under my eyes, even if I set it with powder. But on the rest of my face, it's quite nice. Even around the corners of my nose and with the fine lines going on my forehead, I don't find that it creases up there. It's just underneath my eyes. It does not have the coverage that I want, and it doesn't have the longevity. In terms of coverage, I would say that it's a light to potentially buildable to medium, maybe a hair's breadth underneath that, but it is like a very nice everyday kind of foundation, and it is very easily blendable, especially with the companion brush that I just showed. The blush is quite nice as well, although it is on the sheer side. So if you do have a darker complexion, as dark as this blush looks, it may not show up very well on your skin because I find that I have to add a few layers even onto my complexion in order for it to show up. So this is very much minimalist kind of makeup. It's nice for what it is, but I just wanted to put that caveat out there that there's not a ton of pigmentation here, so buyer beware, I guess. The mascara is quite nice. I find that it just separates my lashes, doesn't add a ton of volume, but again, it's sort of that minimalist, my lashes but better kind of idea. It adds a bit of definition to them because it's coating the lashes, but it's not really lengthening them or adding a ton of volume and curl. But for what it is on an everyday basis, this is really great, like running errands kind of mascara. It's great for work. It's great for running to the grocery store, stuff like that. It helps me feel a little bit put together without being over the top. The highlighting stick is quite nice as well. I find that this one is a little bit more impactful than, say, that liquid highlighter that I've talked about before from the new brand, Say. You can definitely see it on the skin, but it's not going to be as intense as a lot of the powder highlighters that are out there. Certainly nowhere near the degree of, say, Benefit Cookie, anything of that sort, but it is a very pretty highlight. And again, it fits in that with that really quick, no effort looking kind of makeup. The brow gel as well, it is a tinted brow gel. I don't find that it has extreme hold. There's certainly no crunchiness to it, but it's not my favorite brow gel out there. I even find that the one from Essence, although it comes in at a significantly lower price point, I find that that one offers a bit more hold than what this one does. But again, if you're looking at this whole just like no makeup kind of idea, this one fits the bill quite nicely. I don't dislike it, but nor is it something that I can see myself repurchasing when I'm done this one. The last product from Merit is their tinted lip oil. I have it in the shade Marrakesh. I quite like the tinted lip oil. It doesn't have a lot of longevity, but I also don't expect lip oils to have a lot of longevity. It does have good pigmentation for what it is, although it's certainly not as opaque as what it looks in the tube. It has a nice doe foot applicator. There's really no scent to it whatsoever. I'll just do a really quick swatch so you can see the level of pigmentation that you're working with. There's no stickiness to it. It doesn't feel slimy on the lips. You have to touch it up probably every hour to 2 hours, but again, it's a lip oil. It's really easy to do on the fly. I like it for what it is. It's very hydrating on the lips, and again, I think that the color is really pretty as well. The other item that I received in PR last month is the Nanhydrin palette from Adept Cosmetics, and this palette blew me out of the water. I love it so much. I did do an entire eye swatch video using it. There isn't a dud shadow in the bunch. These are gorgeous. Recently, somebody asked me on Instagram whether or not these are glittery shadows, and it's kind of hard to answer that because they end up looking so multifaceted that they look glittery, and yet they're not pressed glitters. These are just ultra foiled shadows. I can't even describe just what the texture of these is like. They're almost wet to the touch, and they're a little bit smushy in the pan, if that makes sense. Like they're almost like, was it NYX came out with that like Love You So Mochi stuff where it was kind of like pliable, cushiony kind of shadows? That's sort of what they feel like, but these pack an absolute punch. So while they do look glittery, they're not glittery. And they don't produce the like glitter fallout that you would expect from a pressed glitter. They don't have any of that like gritty texture to them whatsoever. They are incredibly smooth, but they are just magical. Like I don't know how else to describe them. They're effing stunning. So this is one of those palettes that it ranks right up there with the Plain Jane palette. I absolutely love it. I am so beyond grateful to Adept Cosmetics for sending this out to me. Like, I just am so grateful. I love it. If you can get your hands on it, I think their pre-order just closed, but I would highly recommend signing up either for their newsletter on their website or following them on Instagram so that you can get updates. This is one that is just so beautiful. All right, so that takes care of all the items that I got in PR last month, and now the rest of them are all items that I paid money for. Last month apparently was the month of blush for me, cream blush in specific. I have a ton of them. I also have a bunch of palettes. Now, I just want to explain something. So I did set a beauty budget for myself, and I have not once yet come in under that. Although I think in February I came very close. I think I was only over by like $20 or $40, somewhere around there. So kudos for me. The month of March, there was a lot of Soothe shopping. I was insanely busy at work, as I have been throughout the month of April, to be honest, but March was a little intense. If you're not familiar, I am a lawyer by trade. Every month kind of varies, so it depends on how much I bill and also how much my associates bill, as well as my clerk, who also happens to be my husband. Last month was an exceptional month for me. I'm not going to spit numbers out there because it doesn't matter, but it was a very good month, so please don't judge what I purchased. I mean, feel free. If you want to judge, go right ahead, but like, I don't feel badly about it. There it is. I work hard for what I earn. And there it is. And now we're going to talk about items that you may or may not be interested in, but I'm going to share my thoughts on them with you. Let's talk about eyeshadow palettes, and then we will move on to other products. So eyeshadow palettes, I picked up 3 from BH Cosmetics. So every month I've been picking up their Birthstone palette. I did do a dedicated review on this one. This one is Aquamarine. There is the color story in here. I actually really like this palette, even the pressed glitter. Again, it's not as smooth by a long shot as the shadows from Adept. They're not pressed glitters, this is. But as far as pressed glitters go, this one's actually really easy to use. It's not super crumbly, it's not super gritty, and even just there, like I don't have any primer or any glitter glue, anything like that on my hand, but you can see it does apply really evenly and really easily. So I really like the formula of these pressed glitters. The rest of these shadows perform every bit as well as what I expect from BH Cosmetics. The mattes are very pigmented, yet they blend out really nicely, and the shimmers last all day on the lids, which is exactly what I want out of shimmer shadows. And again, coming in at $9, you really can't go wrong. So if there's a birth story, color story that you're interested in, I don't think the shadows are going to disappoint you, and $9 is an awesome value for these palettes. I picked up 2 more of the Weekender palettes as well, and I think that rounds out the collection for me. I think I now have all of them, and I do love these palettes. Now this one is, what is this one? Summer in Saint-Tropez? Saint-Tropez? I'm so not worldly. I haven't used this one yet, to be honest. This color story isn't super up my alley lately. I have really been gravitating towards super like neutral, easy makeup. Again, I just haven't had time to fuss with this kind of stuff. And then when I get home at the end of the day, I have nothing left in the tank, so I haven't even been playing with makeup, and I miss it. But this is a good play kind of palette because of the amount of color that's in there. But there are some really surprising little like duochrome shimmer shadows up there as well. And I fully expect that this is going to perform every bit as nicely as all the other Weekender palettes. Yeah, like these shimmers are really pretty. I love that BH can do like duochromes as well. And then this one here is Chillin' in Chicago. And honestly, when I looked at the picture, it took me a long time to decide whether I was going to order this or not because I thought it just looked so boring. On the picture on the website, it just looks like a variety of browns. And yet, when I see it in person, this palette is beautiful. It is gorgeous. So there is a lot of nuance between all of these shadows. There are no repeat shadows in here. The shimmer shadows are beautiful, but you've got like pinkier tones over here. You've got almost like a mustardy kind of shade down here. You've got more neutral browns across, a nice shade for deepening, although there's not a ton of deepening shades in here. The one that they have included works with everything else that's in here. Again, these shimmers are beautiful. Like these are so highly reflective and foiled. Like they're just beautiful to work with. And this is a palette that I have gotten a fair amount of use out of, considering I've only had it for a month. And I can see myself reaching for it over and over again. I just want to swatch these ones out and just show you. Like they're beautiful, especially that orangey shade in the middle. Yes, please. So honestly, BH is killing it with their palettes. I cannot wait to see what they do next. I love these palettes so much. Now, although I haven't really been gravitating towards a lot of colorful eyeshadow lately, I did pick up the new palette from Artist Couture. This one's the Ethereal Bloom palette, and it is bright and fun and summery. And let me tell you, when I swatched this shade in particular, I kind of gasped because I really didn't expect it to be as pigmented as it is. Like that's one swipe. It's kind of intense. And then it swatches out beautifully. Like it's insane. And then the shimmer shadows that are in here are also really pretty. But I'm just blown away in particular by the mattes. I need an extra finger here. I'll do it on my thumb. The mint shade in particular, because I just find that for whatever reason, mint is one of those shades that brands seem to have a really hard time doing. And they're always like just disappointing in some way, like very lackluster, very lacking in pigmentation. There's some of the shimmers swatched out as well. In this case, the shimmers are far more subdued and toned down than the mattes. The mattes are fantastic in here, especially this hot pink. Like, holy balls, it's gorgeous. The only thing I would caution is that the pink does stain, so just be aware of that. Maybe go in with a heavy duty eye primer, but there is definitely some staining with that. It's not the worst I've ever experienced, but you can see I've used a wipe a few times on it and it's still there. But I am going to keep this palette and hopefully the inspiration will hit soon to play with it. Now, during one of the brief moments in time where our province wasn't in lockdown, I was able to get myself over to Winners, and there I found this palette from NARS. This is the Narcissist palette. It's a very neutral, somewhat plain palette, but that's my speed these days. After using the palette that was in the Claudette collection, I fell in love with NARS eyeshadows, and this one is no different. It's beautiful. Again, these mattes, they blend out almost effortlessly. And then these shadows, like these shimmer shadows, are just so, so pretty. I think I've said a bunch of times on my channel, but I have said that I like a really reflective shimmery shadow. I like them to have a lot of intensity, and these ones definitely fit that bill. They are beautiful. And again, these aren't the kind of shimmer shadows that are going to crease up on the lid. They don't disappear over the course of the day. So this was a nice little like gem to find hiding on the shelf at Winners. I picked up this palette here from Uma Beauty. I'm pretty sure this is the Royal Heritage. It says Royal Heritage on the back, and then it says Black Magic Color Palette on the front. So I'm not sure which one's the correct name. I really can't remember. I think it's Royal Heritage. At any rate, there are the shades in there, and these are the kind of shades that are just like right up my alley. I love pinks and purples. I just find that they're very flattering on my eye color. I have like greeny with a little bit of brown in there in my eyes, and this just makes them like green. Like it just makes my eyes pop, and I love that. Again, you got a row of mattes here and a row of shimmers, and again, these shimmers are very, very pretty, and the mattes are really nice to work with as well. I've never used anything from Uma Beauty before, and this paves the way nicely for future purchases from them because I'm just really impressed with the quality of these eyeshadows. Okay, we've got two more palettes to talk about before we move on to other things. One of them is this one here from Urban Decay. This is the Naked Wild West, which I always want to call the Naked Cowboy. I think that would have been a far more fun name, to be honest, but at any rate, if you haven't seen the inside, there it is. Again, can you sense the theme that I'm going with here? Lots of neutrals with maybe one or two little funner pops over here. I really like this palette. I'm really impressed with this because I've had some of their Naked, well, I've had one, no, two. What? I've had Naked 3 and Naked Cherry, and both of those were like dull. They just weren't as vibrant as what I was hoping for or as what the color story sort of demanded. They just were lackluster and I wasn't super excited about them. This one is really nice. Again, those shimmers are really nice to work with, and the mattes actually pack a punch. Nothing is super like dusty or overly subdued in this palette. I find it really easy to work with. And I just think that all of the tones that are in there really play nicely with each other. So again, even though there are quite a few shade options in the palette, I don't get stuck sitting there thinking like, what am I going to pair with what? How do I make this palette work? It's all very intuitive. They all work together nicely, and I really love that in a palette. So this is one that I'm very glad that I picked up. I was very hesitant, but I heard really good things, and I'm glad that I was swayed because I really enjoy it. The last palette is one from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Bella Sophia palette, and it is not what I was expecting based on the pictures on the Beautylish website. Those pictures made it look like it was going to be a lot more purple, and it's a lot more like brownish, sort of coppery. That said, once it's applied, it is nice. Even Barry was like, wow, your eyes look really nice today. I think it has to do with like the tones and again, my eye color more than anything else. Had I seen this in store, I wouldn't have bought this palette. So it works, it's fine. The quality of the shadows is really nice, but it's just not what I thought I was going to be getting. And so for that reason, it disappointed me. If returning things to Beautylish was easier, I probably would have. because it's, like I said, it's just not what I was expecting it to be. I thought that it was going to be far more purple, and it's not purple at all. Like, it's reddish and coppery, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted purples. So I'll use it. I'll use it. The colors are flattering. Like, anything that has this sort of reddish undertone tends to bring out the green in my eyes, and that's what I really like. I like to play up the green. I'll use it. It's just not what I had expected and not what I had really wanted. So take that for what it is. If the color story is up your alley, you're going to like the shadows, I suspect, because I do, so we'll leave it that way. But it's just not one that I would have picked out for myself. Okay. Let's move on to other items. So we have a ton of blushes. So let's talk about them next, and then we can round it out with everything else. So when I say I bought blushes, I mean I bought blushes. So let's just do a quick recap. I'll swatch them all out because that's just going to be faster. So this one here is from Say, and it is in the shade Poppy. So there's that one. I got one from e.l.f., one of their putty blushes, and this one, I have absolutely no idea what shade it is because they have oh no, there's a tiny microscopic little sticker, which I am absolutely never going to be able to read. So anyways, it's pink. There we have it. I bought two from Milani. So we've got Blushing Berry and Nude Kiss. And then I picked up two of the new cream blushes from Melt. Oh, I love these. I love these so much. This one here is Cali Dream, and then the other one is Honey Thief. I did have the powder version of Honey Thief, but I really don't like their powder blush. It was just way too powdery. These cream ones though, F yes. F yes. So good. And then the last one that I picked up is this guy here from MAC. This is part of their Black Cherry collection. And this one is the shade Under My Plum, which I will show you right there. So this is the only one that's not a cream blush. All right, so there they are swatched. Obviously I haven't blended them out, but regardless. So this is the one from Say in the shade Poppy. I like this one, but there's definitely a learning curve in terms of trying to figure out how much to use, because you can see I'm trying to blend it and it just keeps going. Like, a little is going to go a very long way. So definitely, like, I would suggest, because it has this gigantic doe foot, either pick up a little bit on your finger from the doe foot or like tap your brush really lightly against it and then go. Don't like drag the doe foot on your face or else you're going to get way too much because it blends for a mile. Next up, we have the one from e.l.f. So this is that unnamed bright pink one. I don't dislike it per se. It does dry down to a nice like powdery kind of finish, but I don't really like the feeling of it in the jar. Like, it's very, I don't want to say sticky because it's not really sticky. It's just really stiff to work with. Like, it feels, it doesn't have that same sort of like emollient feeling that the other cream blushes have. So I just don't really like the texture of it. It applies fine, but it's not my favorite. Also, as you can see, it is far more sheer than any of the other ones. That may or may not be a good thing depending on your own preferences. It's just not my favorite. I'm not in love with it. These ones from Milani though, these are great. I really like these ones. So if you're looking for a drugstore option, I would go with the Milani over the e.l.f. And as well, you can see there's a lot more pigmentation in them. They're all going to have a hard time blending because they've been on my arm for so long, but suffice it to say these ones do blend out nicely. I mean, this color would be horrifying on me if I just left it at that intensity, but I can just pick some up with my finger, dot it, and then it blends out really nicely. For these two, we have Cali Dream and then Honey Thief from Melt. Love the formula of these. Love how blendable they are. Love that they last all day long. I'm just so pleased with these cream blushes. They're so easy to blend out. And they're just like, the color of these two in particular is right up my alley. I think they're both so beautiful. I am very, very happy with these two. I would pick up some more if they had other colors that I was interested in. There's like one or two that I'm eyeing, but I don't know. I'd love to see them do some more like unique kind of shades. Like I'd love to see a matte orange. I would love to see more cooler toned options, like leaning towards purples. Not really my thing, but I think there's definitely a market for it. And I think Melt is the kind of brand that could pull it off. I love the formula of these cream blushes. What are they actually called? These are the cream blush lights. Love them. And then last but not least, this one down here is the powder blush from MAC. I honestly, when I first saw the color when it arrived, I wasn't so sure that I was gonna love it. I thought it was gonna look way too purpley on me, and yet it's really pretty. It sheers out really nicely. This one does have a bit of a glow to it though, so if you like a matte blush and don't like any sheen in it, this is not the way to go. But I think ultimately, it's really pretty. The sheen is pretty subtle, so it's not glittery at all, but it's definitely still there, so I wanted you to be aware of that. But ultimately, I'm really pretty with it. However, I bought it mainly because I thought the packaging looked beautiful in the promo pics. And it is pretty, except it honestly looks a little bit pixelated. Like it looks, I don't know, like it's like clip art or something that they printed out to put on the packaging, and then it's like this like cheap feeling plastic. I don't know. MAC, step it up. Like just step it up. I don't know. There's just something about, it's just not as like, I don't know. It's just not as pretty as I was expecting it was going to be. It's not terrible, but I feel like they could have done more. Anyways, there's that. I'm gonna wipe these off and then we're gonna move on to some other items because we're not done yet. I should have included this in with the blush, but it's a blush highlighter duo, again from e.l.f. This one is in the shade White Peach. I might not love their putty blush. This, fantastic. It is so good. And it was like $3, $4, something like that. The highlighter is a little bit deep for my skin tone, but this blush is so beautiful. And it is like velvety smooth in the pan. I'm really impressed with the quality of their products, especially in light of their price point. But there it is. It's just this beautiful peachy kind of shade. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's very flattering, really adds a lot of warmth to the skin. And then that highlight is beautiful as well. Again, no like glitter bits in there, but it just like blends so nicely onto the skin. Love it. Absolutely love it. Would definitely pick up more of these if I can find them. They're in Walmart, but our Walmart, the only area that you can actually access in person are essential items, and somehow makeup doesn't make the cut. All right, let's stick with e.l.f. for just another moment. I have 2 more products from them, and it's going to segue into a few others. So first up, I got one of their brow pencils. This is called the Instant Lift Brow Pencil. Got it in deep brown. It's a retractable pencil, a little spoolie on the end, and I don't love it. I don't. I don't hate it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I don't like it. It looks like it has good pigmentation, but I have to really spend time with it on my brows, and I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I'm also not like a brow pencil connoisseur. I don't have a ton of them to choose from. In fact, this is the only one I have, but I'm open to recommendations. I don't have sparse brows. I just need a little bit of help filling them in. So go, tell me, what do I need? I don't want to spend a ton of money, so I don't want to get like the Hourglass one or anything like that, but I want something that is easier to use than this. I don't like it. I don't find that it's very precise, and it just doesn't lay down the product as nicely as I would like it to. So recommendations, please. One other item from e.l.f. This is a lip product. This is the Ride or Die Lip Balm in Cheeky Cherry. And okay, so I bought it because I saw somebody reviewing a bunch of these kind of like tinted lip balm things, and they were raving about this formula, not this color in specific, but this formula. I have to disagree. So first of all, it's a pain in the ass to squeeze it up. And then you have to put it on your finger, or you're like smearing this all over your lips. So the color is pretty. It shears out nicely. There is a scent to this though, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's sort of like baby shampoo. I don't know. It smells soapy, but not like florally or anything like that. Like it doesn't smell like it's trying to smell like something. It just smells kind of like soap. But that's not even the worst part of it. The worst part is the taste, because it fucking tastes like soap as well, and you cannot escape it once it's on your lips. So I do not like this product. I don't know if all of the shades taste the same. They don't all smell the same. My understanding is that they smell based on what they are called. Like this one is Cheeky Cherry, so somehow this is supposed to smell like cherry, but nope, it doesn't. And it sure as fuck doesn't taste like cherries. Not a fan. But we do have 3 other lip products, and I very much like all 3 of these. So first up, we're going to throw it back to MAC, again with their Black Cherry collection. This is one of their tinted lip balms in Fleur Welcome. And it looks like it's going to be a very shocking red, and yet it is very, very sheer, but just enough pigment to add a little bit of color to the lips. Again, this one has no discernible smell, like not even like the MAC smell. There's really no scent to it at all. There's no taste to this one, so thank you, MAC. And it feels very nice on the lips. It really does feel like a lip balm, which is what it is, so that's nice. Very lightweight, very comfortable. Big fan of that one. And then we have 2 lipsticks from Cheekbone Beauty, part of their Sustain lip line. These are so nice. So first of all, shout out to a Canadian brand. Second of all, shout out to an Indigenous owned brand. And thirdly, shout out to a brand that is based out of St. Catharines, which is where I grew up. So, feel a very special connection here. Aside from that, these lipsticks are just fucking stellar. They're so good. So this one is in the shade Haki, and I really, really apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's H-A-K-I. It's beautiful. And these these lipsticks are so comfortable, and they're made with all recyclable materials as well. It's just, even the little thank you card that they include, this is like that seed paper, so I can go and like plant this and flowers will grow out of it. I think it's so cool. They're so dedicated to like environmental and creating sustainable products, and I love it. And they have not cut corners on the actual product value as well. Or quality, I guess is the word I'm looking for. There's the other shade there. This one is called Aina, A-I-N-A. These are both so beautiful. They last forever on the lips. They don't bleed, they don't feather, they don't like get really uncomfortable. There is a bit of a shine to them, and yet they don't slip and slide around on the lips. Beautiful, beautiful lipsticks. I definitely want to pick up more from their line. I also like their liquid lipsticks as well, but I wanted to try their bullet lipsticks, especially because of the packaging and all that, just to see what was going on. Hands down, love these so much. Okay, we've got 5 items left. 2 of them, not a big fan of. 2 of them, one of them I really like. We're gonna hit them in that order so that we end on a high note. So these 2, I can take or leave. I don't like hate them, I'm just not really in love with them. So first up, this here, this is from BH Cosmetics, and this is the Base Booster Glitter and Shadow Glue. We all know how much I love BH Cosmetics. They are fantastic at eyeshadows. I'm not wild on this. It's so sticky that I find it difficult to work with. I guess for what it is, that's good. I mean, it's gonna hold that freaking glitter in place, let me tell you. But I find it difficult to work with because it's so sticky. Like the brush sticks to it, and I'll continue trying it and playing with it, but it's a little aggressive for what I like it to be. And then we have this here from Lime Crime. So this is one of their Venus liners. This one's in the shade Wisteria. I was so excited to try this. I had one of their liners ages ago and I loved it. And I love this. I had to like apply, I think it was about 3 coats in order for it to be opaque. And then of course it starts to crack over time, and it just, not in love with it. And also, I mean, the cost of it plus the cost of shipping, and then the translation from US dollars to Canadian, it became like a $30 to $35 liquid liner that I'm not in love with. It kind of hurts my soul. I'm kind of offended by that. So, I'm just not wild on it. All right, now we have two items that I like, but I don't love. So first up is this one here from Dior. This is the Backstage Face and Body Powder No Powder. I like it. I'm not going to complain about it. There's nothing to complain about it, but it also isn't a product that I'm like, holy shit, everybody needs to know about this. This thing's amazing. You know, like it's just, it is what it is. It's a setting powder. It's not fantastic. It's not terrible. It's not bad. I think there are other pressed powders on the market that don't cost as much as this that do the exact same thing. So I just, whatever. Now, this one here from Pat McGrath Labs. This is the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. She does like to break my like 3 words or less for a product title rule, but at any rate, it's a blurring under eye powder. There, we'll truncate it. This one is a new shade for Pat, and this is yellow. So the whole point of yellow is to help cancel out like the bluey and purpley undertones and all of that. So I thought that would be fantastic for me because of my dark circle situation that I've got permanently going on. I thought it might help to cancel out some of that discoloration and add a little bit of brightness. At least that's what the claims were. However, this is a little bit too deep for me. It might work really well in a couple of months after I've, been in the sun again. But for right now, you can see the yellow under my eyes. So I'm kind of replacing one problem with another. I can go in with a really light hand with this, but I'm gonna have to wait a couple of months, see after I get a bit of a summer tan going on. I like what the powder does in terms of setting things down underneath my eyes and sort of blurring out some of the finer lines that are under there. But unfortunately, with the shade that it is, it's just drawing attention to an area I don't want attention drawn to. So again, if returning things was easier to Pat McGrath, then I would have, but unfortunately I bought it from her website and not from Sephora, so I'm kind of stuck with it, but I'm gonna hold on to it and see how she does in the summer. Well, you're not even in the frame. There you go. This is a different lens, so you gotta get in a little bit closer now. Hi! It's almost like it's permanently zoomed in. I said we were going to end on a high note, and here we are. This one is the Fenty Easy Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I have it in shade 3. I really like this product. I just find that it basically makes it look like my skin, but better. Once it's blended out, which FYI, it's very easy to blend this product out, it just looks like my skin. It does not look like I'm wearing makeup. You can't see it sitting on top of the skin. It doesn't mattify. It doesn't add a ton of radiance or glow to my skin. It just has a very natural finish, and it has like a light to almost medium sort of coverage. I wish it was the foundation I was wearing right now to be able to say like, this is what it looks like. But this one is another really good option. This is the Water Tone Foundation from Makeup Forever in the shade Y245. Regardless, we're here to talk about Fenty. So there it is on the back of my hand, and you can see it dripping down. It is a very liquidy, lightweight kind of foundation, and yet it does produce a noticeable effect on the skin. You can see that it is helping to blur things out and just sort of even the skin tone a bit. I think if you have a lot of strong discoloration or a lot of quote unquote blemishes or marks on your skin that you might otherwise want to cover up, I don't think that this is necessarily going to achieve it, although it will sort of help to even things out a bit, but it doesn't have the level of coverage that, say, like the Huda Beauty foundation does or anything of that sort. But for an everyday, day-to-day kind of foundation, I really like this because, again, it's very, very lightweight, and over the course of the day, I'm not distracted by the feeling of it on my skin or like itching to take it off, anything of that sort. I do notice that it does transfer a bit, especially when I have my mask on, but frankly, every foundation does, so I don't really get too caught up in that kind of thing personally. But overall, I really like this product. I even like the packaging of it. I like, frankly, that it's just a unique shape, but I like the little squeeze bottle and the fact that it's just like a little, whatever the hell this thing's called. The fuck is that called? Nozzle? Point? What the fuck is that called? I don't know what that's called. It doesn't matter. Anyways, totally gapping. But I like the packaging, I like the product, I like the shade range, I like the price, I like the whole bit. There we go. There's our high note. All right, and there you have it, guys. Those are the items that I purchased or received in the month of March and my thoughts on them. I'm not going to do any more like fully dedicated reviews to these unless there is like a lot of requests for something like that for particular items that I mentioned today. I don't have time, frankly, to go back and look at all these and do like full-on dedicated reviews to them, plus the items that I picked up in April and anything else that may be coming down the pipes. That's just the nature of the beast. It is what it is. I apologize, but I'm not a full-time YouTuber and life takes priority. Life, work, and family. There it is. But I did want to get this up. I did want to share with you what I picked up. I did want to share with you what my thoughts were. For the most part, I'm very happy with all the items that I tried out in the month of March, with the exceptions that I mentioned throughout this video. I'd love to hear from you what some of the new items are that you have been testing out, what you have been enjoying, what you haven't been enjoying, all of those kind of things. And if there are certain items that I mentioned in this video that you're particularly curious about, feel free to let me know down below. We'll kind of do it by popular vote. If I get a lot of requests for a video on, say, the Fenty skin tint or some other product, I'd be happy to do a dedicated video in that way. But even just looking at the number of palettes that I have, I can't foresee myself doing a dedicated review for every single one of those palettes because I just don't have the time for that. But with all of that said, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, because I suspect this is going to be a very lengthy video. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.